No, it started with a strange thing in my eye. A trembling, like my eyelid didn't want to stop moving. At first, I ignored it, thought it was just tiredness, work stress. I was glued to the computer all the time, so I don't know, I thought it was eye strain. I started drinking more water, sleeping a bit more, those things we do to see if it gets better on its own. But the trembling persisted, and it got worse. It started to come with some sharp pains in my head, quick but strong pains that made me feel dizzy. I tried to hide it, At work, I would squeeze my eye a bit harder when I felt the pain, took a deep breath, and carried on. No one could tell that I was broken, right? Pretended everything was fine. At home, same thing. Oh, just a little headache, it'll go away. But it didn't go away. It got worse every day. One night, while having dinner, the pain came so strong that I dropped the fork. My hand went numb for a few seconds. I looked at my mom, who was sitting across from me, and saw the concern on her face. There, in that moment, I knew I couldn't ignore it anymore. I needed help. Hi, how are you? My name is Madison. I'm 35 years old. Before, I had a normal life, a job I enjoyed, friends, family, plans for the future. That routine we build with so much effort, that seems so solid, so guaranteed. But suddenly, everything changed. An unexpected turn that caught me off guard and turned my reality into a daily challenge. I decided to share my story because I know I'm not alone. I know there are many people out there going through similar situations, feeling the same doubts, the same fears, and above all, I know that information and awareness are our greatest weapons. For a long time, I ignored the signs my body was giving me. I thought it was just stress, fatigue, passing things. I was afraid of seeming weak, of bothering people. It was a serious mistake, and I deeply regret it. If I could go back, I would have sought medical help at the first symptoms. I would have listened to my body, which was screaming for help. That's why I want to use my experience to alert others, to show the importance of paying attention to the signs, of not being afraid to seek help, of not feeling alone. My intention is to turn my story into a tool for awareness and prevention. If my experience can help at least one person seek help in time, it will have been worth it. In the beginning, it was just a little annoying pain, the kind you ignore because, oh, everyone has it. I spent the whole day on the computer, so the first thing I thought was, it's just eye strain. I started using relaxation glasses, increased the font size on the monitor, took more frequent breaks, but the pain was still there, kind of hidden but present. Then the headaches started to become more frequent and intense. At that point, I thought, it must be stress. The work was demanding, responsibilities increasing. Who doesn't get a headache with so much stress, right? I started taking over-the-counter painkillers, the ones you buy at the pharmacy without a prescription. Ibuprofen, paracetamol. It would help for a few hours, but then the pain would come back full force. I felt guilty for wasting time going to the doctor. I thought, I have so much to do, I can't stop now. And so, I kept postponing. A friend recommended a natural muscle relaxant made from herbs. She said it was great for relieving tension and headaches. I started taking it too. At first, it seemed to be working. I felt calmer, more relaxed. But the truth was, I was just masking the symptoms. The pain was still there, but I didn't feel it as intensely. And in the meantime, the problem was growing, worsening. The routine swallowed me up. I would wake up early, work all day, come home exhausted, rush through dinner, and sleep. On weekends, I would try to make up for lost time by taking care of household chores, visiting family, seeing friends. There was no time left to take care of myself. No time to pay attention to the signals my body was giving me. It was as if I was living on autopilot, unaware of what was really happening to me. My health was put on the back burner. It was always later, tomorrow, when I have some time. But later never came. Tomorrow turned into today, and the time never appeared. And in the meantime, schizophrenia was manifesting silently inside of me. The headaches went from being just sharp pains to a constant throbbing pressure that felt like it was crushing my skull. I began to have difficulty concentrating at work. The computer screens made me nauseous. The fluorescent lights deeply irritated me. Meetings became a torment. I could barely focus on what people were saying. I felt exhausted, even after a full night's sleep. The fatigue was so overwhelming that it prevented me from doing the things I enjoyed. I stopped going to the gym, seeing friends, reading a book before bed. Even watching a movie became a challenge because I couldn't focus on the screen for long. I isolated myself from the world, closed myself off. My relationships started to suffer. I became easily irritated, impatient with people. I argued over trivial things, felt misunderstood and alone. My mother, who had always been my best friend, started to avoid me. She didn't understand what was happening to me, and I couldn't explain. The difficulty in sleeping intensified. I spent sleepless nights, tossing and turning in bed, trying to find a comfortable position. When I finally managed to fall asleep, I had terrible nightmares that left me even more exhausted. I woke up with my whole body aching, as if I had run a marathon. I started having trouble walking. My legs felt heavy, my knees hurt, my feet tingled. It felt like I was carrying a huge weight on my back. Going to the supermarket became an impossible mission. I needed to stop every few meters to rest. I started using a cane for support, which only made me more frustrated. Simple tasks like showering, getting dressed, or cooking became a great effort. I needed help for everything, which made me extremely dependent and humiliated. I felt useless, a burden to the people around me. Frustration and despair consumed me. I looked at my body body and didn't recognize it anymore. It felt like it was betraying me, as if it was rebelling against me. I cried every day, wondering what was happening, why I was suffering so much. I tried to hide the situation from the people around me. I used makeup to disguise the dark circles, loose clothes to hide my thinness. I made excuses not to leave the house, not to meet friends. I said I was busy, tired, not feeling well. I was afraid of worrying them, of being judged, of being seen as weak or incapable. I wanted people to remember the Madison I used to be, the strong, independent, and happy Madison. But the truth is that this Madison no longer existed. She had been consumed by pain, fear, and the schizophrenia that had taken hold of me. It was on a sunny and apparently calm Sunday afternoon that the realization finally dawned on me. I was sitting on the couch trying to read a book, but the letters danced in front of me, scrambling like an impossible puzzle to solve. A piercing pain throbbed in my temple, preventing me from focusing. Suddenly, a deafening buzz invaded my ears, followed by a wave of dizziness that made me lose my balance. I fell to the floor, hitting my head hard on the corner of the coffee table. When I regained consciousness, my mother was kneeling beside me with tears in her eyes. She helped me up and took me to the bedroom, laying me on the bed. I lay there, prostrate, feeling the pain throb and guilt eating me from inside. I realized how much I was making my mother suffer, how much I was neglecting my health, and how much I needed urgent help. At that moment, I made the decision to seek a doctor. The initial consultation felt like stepping into a maze. The doctor asked me a series of questions about my symptoms, my family history, my lifestyle habits. I felt like I was being interrogated, but I knew it was necessary. He examined me thoroughly, checking my reflexes, my blood pressure, my heart rate. At the end of the consultation, he referred me for a battery of tests: MRI, electroencephalogram, blood tests. The wait for the results was agonizing. Each day felt like an eternity, each night a never-ending nightmare. The uncertainty consumed me, leaving me anxious and apprehensive. Finally, the day of the follow-up consultation arrived. I sat in the waiting room with a racing heart and trembling hands. When the doctor called my name, I took a deep breath and entered the office. He looked at me with a serious expression and said, "Madison, your tests indicate schizophrenia." I felt like the ground had disappeared from beneath me. Schizophrenia? Me? It couldn't be true. That word sounded like a sentence, like a certificate of insanity. The shock was so great that I could hardly hear what the doctor said next. I remember him explaining about the illness, the symptoms, the treatment, but the words seemed to make no sense, as if they were being spoken in another language. My mind was blank, paralyzed by fear and disbelief. I left the office in a daze, not knowing where to go. I walked the city streets aimlessly, feeling the world crumble around me. Schizophrenia? How did this happen to me? What did I do to deserve this? Am I going crazy? Will I lose control of my mind? Will I be institutionalized? These and other questions circled in my head, finding no answers. I needed support. I needed someone to understand me, to help me face that situation. I called my mother, crying uncontrollably. She calmed me down, hugged me, and promised to be by my side through it all. That day, I discovered that schizophrenia was a challenge I would have to face for the rest of my life. But I also discovered that I was not alone. I had my family, my friends, a medical team willing to help me. I decided to fight against the illness with all my strength and turn my story into a message of hope and overcoming. The beginning of the treatment was like navigating in a rough sea. The first medication, I remember as if it were today, left me completely groggy. I felt as if I were walking on cotton, with my head full of sand, the constant dry mouth, the relentless thirst. But the worst part were the tremors. My hands wouldn't stop shaking, making simple tasks like holding a glass or writing difficult. I had to step away from work, which left me even more frustrated and isolated. Adjusting the medication dosage was a slow and painful process. Each change brought new side effects: weight gain, insomnia, nausea, constipation. I felt like a guinea pig, testing different combinations to find the ideal formula. Hospitalizations became frequent. Episodes of hallucinations and delusions would take me to the hospital, where I would be observed until the symptoms were under control. It was humiliating and scary. I felt like I was losing control of my mind. One of the hospitalizations was particularly difficult. I had a severe allergic reaction to one of the medications, which led me to the ICU. I was between life and death, struggling to breathe. The sensation of suffocation was terrible. The fear of death paralyzed me. Thanks to the intensive care of the medical team, I managed to overcome the crisis, but the experience left me traumatized, afraid to take any medication. In addition to the side effects of the medications, schizophrenia also brought other changes to my body. Hair loss was one of the most painful. My hair, which had always been long and voluminous, started to fall out in clumps. I felt like I was losing my femininity, my identity. Extreme fatigue was constant. Even after a full night of sleep, I would wake up exhausted, with no energy to perform the simplest tasks. The limitations imposed by the illness were frustrating. I couldn't drive, couldn't work, couldn't leave the house alone. I felt trapped, dependent on others for everything. There were moments of deep discouragement. I questioned the meaning of life, felt like a burden to my family. Negative thoughts invaded my mind, leading me to the brink of despair. In these difficult moments, the support of my family was crucial. My mother, in particular, never gave up on me. She accompanied me to appointments, encouraged me to take my medication, gave me affection and attention. My father, who has always been a strong and reserved man, surprised me with his tenderness and understanding. My friends were also incredible. They visited me, invited me to go out, even if it was to a quiet place, showed me they cared about me. The medical team, especially my psychiatrist and my psychologist, were essential in my treatment. They listened to me, guided me, and gave me the necessary tools to deal with the illness. Psychotherapy helped me understand my feelings, cope with the stigma of schizophrenia, and develop coping strategies. The medication, despite the side effects, helped me control the symptoms and have a more stable life. I still have bad days, moments of crisis, setbacks, but I have learned to deal with them, to ask for help when needed, and not to blame myself for having schizophrenia. The illness is part of my story, but it does not define me as a person. I am Madison, I am 35 years old, and I live with schizophrenia. And I am here to show that it is possible to have a full and happy life, despite the challenges. Hope is the last to die, and I cling to it with all my might. Often, people confuse terminal illness with palliative care, and it is important to clarify the difference. Being in a terminal state means that a person's disease is no longer curable, and death is expected in a relatively short period, usually weeks or months. Palliative care, on the other hand, is much broader and can be offered at any stage of a serious illness, even if the person is still undergoing treatments to try to cure it. It is a misconception to think that palliative care is the end of the line. In fact, it is a type of care that aims to improve the quality of life for people facing serious illnesses such as cancer, heart diseases, lung diseases, HIV, AIDS, and other conditions that cause suffering. The main goal is to relieve pain and other uncomfortable symptoms such as shortness of breath, nausea, fatigue, and difficulty sleeping. Palliative care is not limited to physical treatment. It also encompasses care for mental and emotional health, offering psychological support for the individual and their family. It helps deal with anxiety, depression, fear, and sadness that may arise due to the illness. Additionally, palliative care also considers the person's social and spiritual needs, providing support so they can live in the best possible way, according to their values and beliefs. Comfort is an essential part of palliative care. This includes ensuring the person is in a pleasant and safe environment, with access to personal hygiene care, proper nutrition, and other resources that can enhance their well-being. Palliative care professionals work together with the person and their family to create an individualized care plan that meets their specific needs. In addition to conventional treatments like medications and physiotherapy, palliative care can also include alternative therapies such as meditation, yoga, acupuncture, and other practices that help alleviate stress, pain, and other symptoms. In my own journey, I found that meditation and yoga were very useful tools for dealing with the anxiety and insomnia that arose after the diagnosis. Meditation helped me calm my mind, reduce the whirlwind of negative thoughts, and connect with the present moment. Yoga provided me with physical relief, stretching tense muscles and releasing blocked energy. Acupuncture, in turn, helped me control pain and reduce the need for medications. It is important to emphasize that these alternative therapies should be used as a complement to conventional medical treatment and always under the guidance of qualified professionals. Most importantly, it is crucial to remember that palliative care is a right for all individuals facing serious illnesses. It is not a sign of giving up, but rather a way to ensure that the person receives the best possible care to live with dignity, comfort, and quality of life, regardless of the stage of the disease they are in. It is a hug, a support, a helping hand to make the journey less arduous. And then came the blow. The news that no one wants to hear, the phrase that echoes in the mind like thunder on a sunny day: the disease has recurred. Words that seem to pull the rug out from under our feet, leaving us free-falling into an abyss of uncertainties and fears. The sensation is that everything has started over, that all the efforts, the battles, the victories were in vain. A wave of frustration takes over. A lump in the throat prevents deep breathing, and the desire is to scream, to thrash, to question why. I remember the day as if it were yesterday. The routine appointment, the control exams, everything seemed within normal range. But the doctor's gaze, the hesitation in the voice, the silence that settled in the room already foreshadowed the worst. And then, the raw and direct words: there has been a recurrence of the disease. New exams are necessary to determine the extent. The world spun, legs faltered, and the mind refused to process the information. It was as if I were watching a horror movie, where I was the protagonist. The new symptoms emerged surreptitiously, like shadows lurking in the darkness. Persistent pains, extreme fatigue, unexplained weight loss. Signs that I initially ignored, attributing them to the stress of daily life, lack of sleep, exhaustive routine. But intuition yelled, the body warned, and fear took hold. The exams confirmed the suspicion: metastasis. The disease had spread to other organs, making the scenario even darker. The fear of death became a constant presence, a ghost hovering over my shoulders. Dark thoughts invaded my mind, leading me to imagine the worst. Images of suffering, pain, farewells haunted me at night. The fragility of life became palpable. The certainty of finiteness confronted me every moment. It was necessary to accept the new reality, no matter how cruel and unfair it seemed. The search for support became essential. I turned to psychotherapy, where I found a safe space to express my fears, my anxieties, my frustrations. Faith also became an important pillar, connecting me to something greater, giving me strength and hope to move forward. Meditation and prayer helped me calm my mind, find inner peace, and connect with my essence. I decided to focus on living in the present, on enjoying every moment as if it were the last, valuing the little things, the simple moments, the tight hugs, the genuine smiles, prioritizing relationships, strengthening bonds, showing the love I feel for the people who are important to me, learning to say no to what doesn't do me good, to free myself from pressures and expectations, to allow myself to be happy. Every day I learned to live with the illness, to accept my limitations, to celebrate my achievements. I don't deny the fear, but I also don't allow it to paralyze me. Death is an inevitable reality, but it doesn't have to be the end of the story. Life goes on, with its ups and downs, with its joys and sorrows, with its challenges and opportunities, and I choose to live it intensely, with courage, with faith, and with love. Schizophrenia is just a part of me, not the whole. I am Madison, a strong, resilient woman full of hope, who has learned to love life in its entirety, with its imperfections and beauties, and that is my greatest victory. Life, once rushed and full of commitments, has gained a new rhythm. I discovered that true wealth is not in accumulating possessions or achieving professional success, but in savoring every moment, in connecting with the people I love, and in appreciating the beauty of the world around me. Today, I live intensely in the present, without overly worrying about the future or dwelling on the past. One of my favorite activities is taking a walk in the park early in the morning, when the sun is rising and the fresh air invigorates body and soul. I observe the trees, the birds, the flowers, and marvel at the perfection of nature. I feel the sun warming my skin, the wind caressing my face, and allow myself to simply be, without haste, without expectations. It's a moment of peace and serenity that prepares me to face the day with more lightness and optimism. Cooking has become a therapy. I love preparing delicious and healthy meals for myself and my family. The smell of spices, the colorful foods, the taste of homemade food, all of this brings me joy and satisfaction. It's an act of love and care that connects me with my roots and allows me to express my creativity. Sharing the table with the people I love is one of my favorite moments of the day. Reading a good book transports me to other worlds, allows me to live other lives, teaches me new things, and makes me reflect on existence. I love getting lost in the pages of a novel, a history book, a biography, a book of poems. Reading enriches me, inspires me, and makes me feel alive. It is a habit I cherish and that provides me moments of pure pleasure. Listening to music calms me, cheers me up, moves me, makes me dance, makes me sing. Music is the soundtrack of my life, present in all moments, good and bad. I enjoy listening to different music styles, from classical to pop, from rock to samba. Music connects me with my emotions, helps me express my feelings, and makes me feel closer to people. Small things bring me happiness: a tight hug, a genuine smile, a pleasant conversation, an unexpected compliment, a loving note, a flower in the garden, a sunset on the horizon. I have learned to value these simple moments, to recognize the beauty in the little things, and to be grateful for all that I have. Happiness is not in great achievements, but in appreciating the small details of life. Illness has taught me to prioritize what truly matters: my health, my family, my friends, my values, my dreams. I have learned to say no to things that harm me, to distance myself from negative people, to free myself from unnecessary worries. Life is too short to be wasted on things that do not bring us joy and well-being. I increasingly value relationships, friendship, companionship, love. I seek to be present in the lives of the people I love, show my affection, offer my support, share my moments. Loneliness is one of life's greatest pains, and connection with other people is essential for our emotional and social well-being. I express my feelings more easily, without fear of showing vulnerability, of saying what I think and feel. I have learned that suppressing emotions is detrimental to health, that it is important to express joy, sadness, anger, fear. Communication is the foundation of any healthy relationship, and expressing our feelings is essential to strengthen the bonds with the people we love. I am grateful for life, despite the challenges, difficulties, pains. I have learned that life is a precious gift, to be valued and enjoyed to the fullest. I am thankful for each day, each opportunity, each experience, each person who is part of my story. Gratitude is one of the greatest virtues we can cultivate, and is one of the secrets of happiness. Life and death, I now see them as two sides of the same coin, a continuous cycle of transformation and renewal. Before the illness, death was a distant theme, something to be avoided, a taboo. Life was a relentless race, a pursuit of success and recognition, an endless list of goals to be achieved. The illness forced me to stop, to slow down, to reflect on the true meaning of existence. I realized that life is a breath, a fleeting instant, and we cannot waste it on things that do not bring us joy and peace. I have learned to value each moment, each smile, each hug, each opportunity to be with the people I love. Death has ceased to be a paralyzing fear to become a serene acceptance, an understanding that it is an integral part of the journey. The experience of illness has transformed me profoundly. I have become stronger, more resilient, and compassionate. Pain has taught me empathy, to understand the suffering of others, to reach out to those in need. The fight against illness has strengthened me, shown me my capacity for overcoming, made me believe that I am capable of facing any challenge. Resilience has become my greatest ally, allowing me to rise after each fall, to move forward past every obstacle. I want to leave a legacy of hope, courage, love, and compassion. I want to inspire others to take care of their health, to value life, to pursue their dreams, and to be happy. I want to show that it is possible to live fully despite difficulties, limitations, and illnesses. I want to be an example that faith, hope, and love can transform lives. I believe that health is our most precious asset, and that we should take care of it with care and attention. It is important to have routine checkups, follow medical advice, adopt healthy habits, such as exercising, eating well, and getting enough sleep. Prevention is always better than cure, and prevention can save lives. It is essential to value life, to seize each moment, to be grateful for every opportunity. Don't dwell on the past. Don't worry excessively about the future. Live the present intensely. Love, forgive, smile, dance, sing, hug, kiss, explore, discover, learn, teach, inspire, transform. Life is a gift, and we should make the most of it. If you are facing a similar challenge, know that you are not alone. There are many people who love you, who care about you, and who want to help you. Don't be afraid to ask for help, to express your feelings, to seek support. Believe in yourself, in your ability to overcome, in your inner strength. Keep faith, hope, and love alive in your heart. Believe that anything is possible, that miracles happen, that life is a divine gift. Love yourself, love the people around you, love life in its entirety. Believe that you are strong, that you are capable, that you are loved, and move forward with courage, faith, and love. Hope never dies, and life always finds a way to flourish, even in the most arid deserts. Listen to your body. It speaks, it whispers, it screams if necessary. Do not ignore the signs, no matter how small they may seem. That persistent little ache, that unexplainable fatigue, that sudden change in mood, everything can be a warning. Do not be afraid to seek medical help. Do not feel weak or guilty for needing care. Prevention is crucial, and early diagnosis can make all the difference. The sooner the disease is identified, the greater the chances of effective treatment and a full and happy life. I know that fear can paralyze, that uncertainty can scare, that stigma can hurt, but do not let fear overcome you. Seek information, seek support, talk to others who have been through the same situation. Discover that you are not alone, that there are many resources available, and that it is possible to live with the disease, with quality of life and hope for the future. Based on my experience, my advice is, face the disease with courage, faith, and hope. Do not give in to despair. Do not be overwhelmed by sadness. Do not be consumed by anguish. Believe in yourself, in your ability to overcome, in your inner strength. Cultivate faith, hope, and love. They are your greatest allies. Surround yourself with positive people, with friends and family who love and support you. Seek activities that bring you joy, that make you feel alive and fulfilled. Life is a precious gift, and every moment is an opportunity to be happy. Learn to cherish the little things, the simple details, the genuine smiles. Be grateful for each day, for each sunrise, for each opportunity to learn, to grow, to love. Believe in the power of life, in its capacity for transformation and renewal. My love and gratitude to all who supported me on this journey, to my family, to my friends, to my doctors, to all who lent me a hand and helped me move forward, and to you, who are listening to me now, my fraternal hug and my sincere wish for peace, health, and happiness. Remember always, life is worth living and every moment is a gift.